All right, what's up, everybody? FFA, good morning. As we jump into this Friday Fusion call, super excited for today's call because we've got the top agents from last week coming on to share some tips with you guys on how they were able to find success last week. So make sure you're ready to take some notes. If you're a brand new agent and you want to get the secret to becoming a top agent quickly, today's call is going to be the one for you. But I want to give you guys a big shout out. You guys have absolutely dominated this week so far. So many agents run into new heights here. And to all the builders and team builders out there, shout out to you guys for growing your agencies and bringing a bunch of new agents on this past week. So super excited to see the growth, super excited to see you guys run and hit your goals and hit your dreams. And it's never been a better time to be an agent. So if you're somebody watching right now, wondering what this career is all about and wondering, hey, when should I do it? Is it too late to do it? How old do you have to be? All that good stuff. Connect with somebody here at FFA and talk to them, because there has never been a better time to get started in the insurance industry. There's so much opportunity for you to jump into this career and experience all of the things that it has to offer. And this industry needs good agents. There's so many people out there that could use your help. So the opportunities are endless. And really, it's the perfect timing here. March 21st, 2025 could be, right, the biggest year of your life if you jump into this industry. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring on the top agents here. We're going to go round robin, just Q&A style. If you have a question for them, you can drop it in the comment section or drop it in the agency WhatsApp section, and I will ask it for you. But I'm going to bring on all of them. First up, we've got Becca joining us. Becca, thanks for hopping on here. Becca's been top agent ever since she got started here. She's been crushing it. We're bringing on KZ as well. You guys heard from Kaylee. I think it was a call last week or the week before, but she went out and had another massive week last week as well. And now we're bringing on Stephanie as well. So Stephanie, thanks for jumping on here. Stephanie's been a top agent, I think, since she's got started, right? It's been a few years now, but up there in Delaware, I don't ever really remember a year that Stephanie wasn't in the top. So big shout out to you, Stephanie, for doing big things. If you guys notice a trend here, it's all ladies here, right? We do have a lot of guys that are doing big things at FFA, but they don't like to be on the camera. So we got to get them to jump on here and participate. But hey, Becca, KZ, Stephanie, thank you guys for joining me today. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Hey, this is my first question. Anyone can answer it. Do you have to have blonde hair to be successful? I think you guys all have blonde hair. Is that the secret?
Brown.
Mine's colored.
Okay. So the first tip's not to have everyone go out and dye their hair.
Unless you want to. It's always fun.
That's fine. Well, hey, guys, give everyone just a brief intro quick, right? Like before insurance, what were you doing for a career? And just give them an idea, right? We have a lot of people that watch this that might be thinking about jumping into insurance. A lot of new agents coming from different industries. Some agents are doing this part-time right now. But just kind of give them a little quick, 10-second clip as to what your life was like before insurance. Steffi, you want to go first?
Sure. So before insurance, I always did like office work. So I was like receptionist, that kind of thing. And that's what I did my whole life, basically.
Nice. What about you, KZ?
I was a nurse and worked paycheck to paycheck and worked 2 jobs. So
2 jobs. Nice. What about you, Becca?
Everything I did before I came here had to do with kids. So I was a preschool teacher, public school teacher, nanny, babysitter, anything that had to do with kids. I think I've done it. So
that's awesome. Well, hey, guys, you see like the different industries, right? From being a teacher to being a nurse to doing the administrative work. I was in construction and the military before this. So really, you can come from anywhere. But one common thing that's funny is most people come from jobs that weren't sales jobs. You notice that, so don't think you have to be a salesman or saleswoman to do good at this. But guys, last week you guys led the agency in production. You all had just massive weeks, well over like 5, 6, 7,000, even higher. Kaylee, what'd you finish the week at last week? It was like
9.
9, all Stephanie, Becca, you guys have always hit big numbers, 10K weeks and up. So let's jump into the first question. Okay. What's an agent need to do to have a successful week? Like if you could think of one tip for them that really helps you win each week, what would it be?
My number one tip is to have leads. To have
Love
people
it.
to go and talk to, I definitely think is number one. If I had to give one tip, I would say have leads. And that it could come from a variety of different sources, whether you post on social media or the different lead platforms that we have. I would have somebody to talk to.
Love that tip. What about you, Kaylee?
Most definitely schedule, like just having your schedule set for the week. I really try to make, be intentional with my time on Sundays and just sit down, put my schedule together, have the sitter planned out, who's picking up Adeline, where I'm working, what days I'm working. I'll block out certain times to call for appointments. That's just been huge, but just having, being prepared, having that schedule set, knowing where you're going and not going into your week, blind or anything.
Is that something you just do on Sundays, or like when do you come up with what dictates your schedule?
Yeah, Sunday is typically when I sit down, and it might take me 30 minutes, it might take me an hour, just depending on what and all I'm plugging in and everything. But I've got, like Becca said, leads, and you've got to have people to see. So I have leads coming in every single day. So, on Sunday is when I kind of do my organizing and figuring out where I'm going, who I'm going to see, and go from there.
Love it. So we got leads, we got schedule. Those are like the top two, Stephanie. It's going to be hard to come up with one off of that. But what's your top tip?
I know. I was thinking they done took my answer. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Have your schedule set and, stick to it mainly. Stick to that schedule and don't change it because people call you and, want you to stop work for anything. But you have to stick to your schedule and just be consistent, buying your leads and
How do you do that, Stephanie? Right? Like, I think one of the biggest struggles for agents in this career, because you get to set your own schedule, something will come up. They're like, okay, well, I don't have to ask anyone's permission, so I can go do this errand or I could go do this. How do you hold yourself to that? I think that's the biggest struggle that agents jumping into this have is they don't have anybody holding them to their schedule. So it's just so easy to get off course.
Right. I usually just, I'll tell my family and like, these are the days that I'm working. It's not going to change, and, I have my granddaughter once a week and, as long as I know the day, they've asked me to watch other days too, which is, and I'm like, nope, I have to work that day, because that my schedule is set and, I know what days I'm working and, and I'm like, basically don't bother me while I'm working.
Yeah, put the phone on silent and just run with it, right? Well, those are awesome tips, guys. Becca, I've got one for you. So what, you talked about leads, you talked about it didn't matter really what type or different variations, but have you ever gotten a bad batch of leads? And then like, what do you do with that? Like, so let's just say, you get a whole bunch of leads, just none of them are working out. What do you do from there?
It's happened. It's happened to everybody where it's just like you get a whole bunch of leads and nobody wants it or whatever. I typically see that more with the internet leads. So I'll go to them if they kind of shut me down at the door. I'm an avid neighbor knocker because I do know like a lead is just an excuse. It's a legitimate excuse at the door. Like that's the acronym that I use for lead. So if they're not home, I still try to talk to whoever's at the door, but I'm also an avid neighbor knocker because a lead doesn't buy you a sale. It doesn't necessarily guarantee you a sale, but it does put you in the right neighborhoods, right? Like that's what we're looking for is those right neighborhoods. So I'll go knock the neighbors.
That's such a good tip. There's a lot of agents just get depressed. They're like, oh, nobody wants this. These leads are junk, and then they go all day with nothing. What do you say to the neighbors when you show up?
Hey, don't mean to catch you off guard. My name is Beck. I'm the local field agent. I'm just here to go over your final expense benefit programs real quick. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. Do you want to sit inside or outside?
That's awesome. Guys, I want you to go back, replay that, and listen to her neighbor knock approach because she's assuming her way into the door, right? She's telling them what she's there to do. I used to be horrible at neighbors. Like I would just walk up to the door and be like, I sell life insurance. Do you want it? And you know how many neighbors I got into? 0. I didn't sell nothing. And then I saw Alicia do it one time. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot more sense to say it that way. And she said it just like you said it, Becca. So I love that tip. Kaylee, I'm going to come to you because I know you're very good at this. All right. And I got a list of questions. That's why I'm looking down here. But you're very good at client retention. And if somebody falls off, you know it, you follow up with them, right? So what do you do if a client calls you to cancel their plan, right? Like you're out there having a good day, slinging some policies, and then the one you wrote yesterday calls you and like, hey, I just, I don't really want this anymore. Where do you go from there trying to save your business?
I'm not going to lie. It's been a long time since I've gotten one of those phone calls, but, I mean, I can remember back when that would happen and I'd just say, oh no, Miss Betty, I'm so sorry. Well, I'm gonna have to swing by there and get you to sign a couple things, when can you meet? Are you home now? Or, tomorrow works morning or afternoons. And I'm just simply getting back in front of them. And I would just, kind of just sit there, connect a little bit. How you been? Da, 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 just kind of just rebuilding that relationship. And, so, Miss Betty, I know that when you called, you said that you wanted to cancel it. So what's going on? And I know how important this was to you. We had talked about, you didn't have anything in place. You were worried about your son, being left behind with that burden. Now, don't you think, maybe if you were able to leave him something versus, don't you think that would, be better? And, I'm just trying to, bring them back to the reason of why they got it in the first place, trying to bring them back to that emotion and, just simply like trying to dig into figuring out what's the reason. Is it money? Is it, me? Like, did I do something wrong? Or like, did they talk to somebody and maybe they're feeling a little uneasy? Do I need to call the company with them and kind of, they don't have a physical policy yet. Do they need to hear like from the company, just anything that I need to figure out what the reason is and then go from there.
That's awesome, Kaylee. Now I know you said you've not gotten those calls a lot, like recent, or really like never, like recently.
All right, way back maybe.
What do you think the difference is? Like, why now do you not get callbacks like that compared to when you were a new agent, you maybe were getting callbacks?
I mean, I think I just, over time doing this for so long that you figure out your verbiage and you're making these people comfortable with explaining things. Like I think back and I'm like, I probably used to rush through this part. Like when I would get done with an application, I would just rush. But, I'm showing them the congratulations on my iPad with, their policy number. Like every time that it emails them, which one of the companies I like to write a lot with, they send an email, and I'll say, now they're going to send you an email with this entire application that we've done today. It's also going to be in your policy as well. In order to access this document in your email, it's going to be the last 4 of your social. And this just has everything that we've done today and all this information. And like, that's really big. I do that now. And, they've got my folder. I have my picture on the front of the folder. I have my business card in the inside folder. I have a flyer now in the folder. I've got everything written on another paper with all of the policy information. I have saved my number in their phone. If we take a picture, I text it to them so they can save that in their phone. Like just a lot of extra steps there at the end. And anytime that my phone rings and that they call, I don't care what I'm doing. I mean, if I'm in a house, I might not answer, but if I'm driving down the road, I'm going to answer and I'll just say, hey, Miss Betty, so they know that they can count on me. They feel good when I left their house with everything that I did there at the post sale, the post close. So, making that strong.
That's such a good like tip and words of wisdom there. Cause I was the same way. Like I remember being a new agent, I would rush through the closing process. Then I'd rush through getting out of that house. Cause I'm like, I finally sold one. I'm not going to talk anymore. Cause I don't want them to cancel it. And then I'd leave and then they'd cancel it. Cause I didn't explain anything. And then I started doing the same thing like you, Kaylee. I would have the folder is magic. Like if you guys aren't leaving your clients with all the information for what you did for them, you're just opening the door for as soon as you leave, a family member comes in. They're like, what, Mom, what did you just gave this random person all your information? What'd they do? And they're like, they didn't give me anything. Like think about it. If you go to a store, they're going to give you a receipt or something. And so guys, you have to have a folder, go to Walmart, wherever, they're like 25 cents, staple your business card in there, print off a sheet with all your information, what you did for them. Expectations are so big. Like I would say I used to get 4 out of 10 people canceling. And when I started doing what you just talked about, Kaylee, explaining it, leaving them the folder, making sure they understand it, maybe I get 1 out of 10 canceling. And that 1 out of 10 is because they missed their payment. It's not because they don't want it. Like I can't think of the time that I've had someone call me to say, hey, I don't want this. It just doesn't happen if you do the presentation the right way. So love that tip. Stephanie, next question for you. Okay. One thing that you've always been very, very good at is being consistent every week. Like every week when we see the numbers, I can count on Stephanie having a good week. So how do you stay consistent like that? A lot of agents they'll have a big week, right? And they'll get paid a lot of money. And then the next week they're like, won't do as good because they won't work as hard because they get a little bit comfortable and it goes up and down. But you've always been consistent, like week in, week out, month in, month out. So what goes into that? How do you do that?
Well, basically, you have to remember every day starts at 0. So I could have a $3,000 day, but the next day, okay, I'm starting over. Because, if you have that in your mind, well, I got 2 apps, I'm going home. No, you have to stick to your schedule and just, remember that every day starts with 0.
Yep. That's such a good tip. I remember every day I'd wake up and it's like, it pushes you a little bit extra to not think about what you did the day before. I used to automatically assume that everything I sold was not going to get approved and then not get pushed through. Like they were going to miss their draft. They were going to cancel it. So same like you just said, if I had a $3,000 day, the next day I would assume that all of that got canceled and go back out there. But guys, if you're an agent, especially new agents, you make one sale, you could potentially make in a commission what you used to make in like 2 weeks. But it is so important to not rely on that one policy to pay your bills because it could cancel, it could change, right? So like I always ran to have 10 a week because 2, 3 would cancel, 7 would be good and just keep pushing like that. So I love that. Start every day at 0. Becca, question for you. All right. How do you communicate with your coaches? Like I think since you got started, there's never been a day, right, where if you have a question, you have anything, you're always on top of stuff. And I love how you communicate with you and Dylan and how you're able to learn like that. So give everyone just an idea, right? Like how should they be communicating to their coach? You're a high writer individually, but you're also a builder. You have agents with you as well. So what should that look like?
So I do have like a text message thread that's just kind of like we reply to whenever I get time. Cause I'm still out in the field and still writing. I can't reply as quick. So like I'll see it whenever I see it. Or if I have a question, I know you guys are really good about replying, but I also love a phone call. There's just something different whenever you hear the phone call. So I'll call in the morning and just kind of say, hey, what I got going on for the day. Like if I'm calling you or Alicia, I'll say, hey, this is my plan for the day. Hopefully it goes well, and everybody fingers crosses and hopefully have a good day. But I also call to complain. Sometimes I'm like, I just had this bad house. I just need to get it off my chest. So that way the mentality doesn't affect my next house. We laugh about it and I move on. And then so that's like middle of the day. And then I also regroup at the end of the day. Hey, this is how it went. I did my best, or it went really well, or it could have gone better. I kind of let them know how the day went. And I kind of like it because whenever I get home with Dylan, me and Dylan can be me and Dylan instead of like still having work on my brain. I just kind of release it and then I can enjoy time with Dylan later in the evening.
Yeah, that's such a good word of wisdom there too. Guys, if you're not talking to your coach regularly, you're really missing out because you're just like bottling everything up inside and your coach if I don't hear from an agent, I either think they're not working or they're good. And I'll figure it out at the end of the week when I see the numbers, So, but it's like, don't wait till the end of the week. until you do that. So make sure you're talking to them daily, even if it's a text, a voice text, just something to check in, because this business can be a lonely business. We're all over the place, you know, doing this solo, individually. They're on the phones, in the field. And if you're not tuned in, right, to your coach, getting their help, you're going to stay in the same spot. If you do the same thing every day, you're going to get the same result. And so if you're not happy with that result, you got to push yourself, get outside your comfort zone. And that's what we're all here for. It's what your coach is here for, right? They want you to do good. So love that tip there, Becca. Kaylee, question for you. All right. In this business, right, agents usually tend to fall into a few different sections. They'll do maybe like 3 days a week and manage like $2,000 to $3,000 of AP a week. Then there's like the $5,000 to $7,000 a week agents. There's the $10,000 a week agents. You've hit all of those, right? And so what goes into that? Like if an agent's hitting 2 or 3K right now and they want to push themselves to 7, 8, 9, 10,000, what adjustments would you recommend for them to be able to hit those kind of numbers?
You know, I had my tracker pulled up because I was hoping we would go over some number type situations, but you know, just looking like back at, for example, January, early February, you know, I was only sitting with, you know, 4, 5, 6 people a week. And that's going to be the $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 AP weeks that, you know, why couldn't I have sat with more people? But, you know, hey, at least that's still business, right? Versus like last week, I sat with 14 people. And that's where the 9,000 came from. So, you know, it's seriously just a numbers game. The more people that you get in front of, the more policies that you're going to write. You know, we aren't able to help everyone that we meet with. So if you're only out there sitting with, you know, 5 people a week, you might only be able to close one of them or just 2, or, you know, so it's just a numbers game. So, you know, put in the work, have more people to see, you know, maximize on those, like what Becca was saying with the neighbors. You know, maybe you don't have a bunch of leads, but you've got houses with addresses and they have neighbors. So just simply, you know, trying to increase that number, but regardless of what level that you're at or want to be at, make that a consistency, you know, a consistent thing week. If you just want to sit with 5 people a week, that's great. But just do that consistently week to week. And that's where, you know, staying, you know, driven and focused and set to your schedule is going to come into play.
That's gold right there. 14 people last week and you hit almost 10K, right? That's, guys, you can't put the pressure on yourself. You have to put it on the numbers like Kaylee just talked about. If you could be the best agent in the world, and if you're only presenting to 5 people a week, you're not going to have a good week. Like it doesn't matter. If you could be the worst agent in the world and sit with 15 to 20 people in a week, and you will have an amazing week. So you have to think about that. I remember I kind of got hit with this like plateau, right? Where like the most people I felt like I could sit with in a given day was like 2 or 3, like, especially as a new agent. After I did 2 presentations, I was like just mentally like drained. You know, you get a talker in there, you're there for like 2 hours. It's just a lot. So Kayla, how do you get to like the 3, 4, 5 people a day mark? That's where a lot of agents struggle, is they just can't sit with enough people. Maybe they're not getting into doors. Maybe they're not, you know, for whatever reason, the schedule doesn't allow it. But how were you able to go from, if you were sitting with 5, 6 people a week, to 14?
Making phone calls.
Like that one right there, right?
Yeah. I might have to get this. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to do a live training. Kaylee's about to sell this person on the phone.
It's actually my bestie. She's trying to FaceTime.
Oh.
She should be watching this right now.
Right.
But anyway, so phone calls, that is where it's at. So I try to set time, you know, during that Sunday time where I'm setting my schedule to go ahead and get some appointments for my Monday. But I really try to take time every evening, if it's after 5, like just some time in that window of everybody getting home from work and school, you know, before or after dinner. But, you know, just simply calling people to try to get schedule set the next day. If I can have like a 9:30 or 10 o'clock appointment for the next morning, I'm getting in 3 presentations minimum. So just having somebody to sit with immediately right when you first start working in the morning, just to go ahead and get in the house, I mean, that makes such a difference. And just, it's always easy to, after that second presentation, to just call it a day. But, here it is only 3 o'clock. You've still got hours left in the day. And, used to, I would want to, go pick up my daughter, like, oh, let's go spend the rest of the afternoon together. But I'm, mentally, I'm like, I need to go till 5, I need to get that last one in. There's plenty of time left. So, and then, just here lately, when I call for appointments, they just want to go over it over the phone. So I'm like, oh, here's another presentation that I wasn't even planning for. But, just being available, not necessarily all day, like 24 hours a day, but, for most of your business hours of the day, dedicating that to your clients and sitting in front of them. So
for sure. That 9:30 in the morning is such a difference maker. I did the math on that, right? Because I started doing that when I would only do 2 to 3 a day. I did the same thing at 6 to 6:30. As soon as I was done with my day, I'd call all my leads and I would try to book as many tentative appointments for the next day. And a lot of times, you might call 30 people and you just get that one appointment for the next morning. But guys, if you do that every day, that's 5 more in a week. Monday through Friday, you set yourself up one at 9:30 in the morning. That's 5 more a week. Might not seem like a lot, but in a month, that's 20 more presentations in a month. You're writing at least 10 more applications. You're making at least $5,000 to $6,000 more that month than you would have had you not picked up that phone. So it makes a big, big difference. So love that tip, Kaylee. Stephanie, up next, we'll go with all 3 of you for this last question. But what motivates you? Like a lot of agents are motivated by different things. But if you could think of the number one thing that motivates you to always do good like you do, what would that be?
I'd say, I just like the flexible schedule, but the one thing that really gets me is like, I just love helping people. It's such a good feeling when you leave and they're like, I'm so glad you stopped by today. Like you're a lifesaver. Or it's a good feeling to be able to help them. And even if they have stuff coverage, just to have, explain what they already have and, just to be there for them and let them know that you're there for them. It's just I like it.
That's awesome. That's why you do so good. If you have a servant-driven heart in this industry, you just naturally do very, very good. So I love that, Stephanie. What about you, Becca?
I think something that gets me out of the house in the morning is Scotland. That gets me out of my house in the morning. But what keeps me out is kind of what Stephanie was saying, knowing that I'm helping so many people, because a lot of people are just not in good spots. They keep me out, and I love what I do. And then Scotland reminds me to stay out till like 6 or 7 o'clock again in the evening. So that I definitely don't forget about that during the day.
Hey, I can attest to that. I don't think there's ever been a night where you've not done a call to close at like 6, 7 o'clock at night working on another policy. So that's awesome, Becca. What about you, Kaylee?
I would say like I'm a little competitive, not gonna lie, but I love a good healthy competition. But it's more so here lately is an inner competition with myself that I'm trying to prove to myself of, I know where I can, as far as how much I can write, how many people I can help and everything, but I know what I can do and what I'm capable of. And so I'm just showing myself that I still got it. And, but then it's also numbers. I'm a big numbers nerd. So as far as like an AP goal for the week or an app amount goal for the week, but also income goal, I track my daily deposits and, I've got where I'm at for halfway through the month and where I want to be at the end of the month. Just staying, driven on that. So
that's awesome. I love it. The inner competition brings out a side of you that you just didn't know was there. Like it's competing with other people would do that. But when you actually have like that self-growth factor that you're running to, it just pushes you to a whole new level because you don't need outside influences to motivate you. It's just, you're just disciplined to hit that. So love that. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys for jumping on here today. Hats off to all of you for just leading the way, showing agents what's possible if you work hard. So I really appreciate you guys. Grateful to have you here working with us at FFA, and thanks for sharing those tips. But guys, that's all we got for you. It's 9:30. It's Friday. Let's close this week out strong. I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. Becca, KZ, Stephanie, thank you guys again. We'll be back here on Monday.
You guys.
Thank you.